All right, Dr. Kelly, easy techniques to root cuttings of some of our favorite annuals.
Cheap.
And we like easy and cheap.
Exactly.
Right.
Do-it-yourself little projects that we can do. And every year we have favorite really pretty plants that are annuals that we get. And they do really good, and we always are like, oh golly, I wish I could keep that over the winter. But mostly we don't have places to bring in these giant big old plants like hibiscus, the big old tropical hibiscus, or the big pretty geraniums that have just done beautifully all summer, or big old impatiens or Coleus, or some of these others that just really look nice, and we're like, oh gee, I wish I could keep that for next summer. And there's a way to do that. Most of these plants root really, really easily. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. So I think I'm going to demonstrate, I guess, first the Coleus. And, you know, of course you've got Coleus, they're huge, you know, in your garden. So you just pick a terminal, and you come in, and this little cheap knife, I was telling y'all they're really, really cheap. And I usually keep a bunch of these around the garden or different places where I can find them. But then you just go in and you just pinch that dude off or cut it off. And what you'll want to do is to, of course, remove these lower leaves. Because when you put it in the soil, those are probably going to be below the soil level, and they're going to rot and fall off and not be a good thing. So actually, I just usually just take my fingernails and pinch those off. So see, now we've got a cutting of our little Coleus. And what I do is I travel some, and you know, in motel or hotel rooms, in the bathroom, they always give you this shower cap, you know, and who wears the shower caps anymore? So I just have collected these. I've got like a gazillion of them at home. And what I do is I use these to make me a little mini greenhouse, and I'm going to show you that first.
How smart is that, though?
Yeah, really. So here's my impatiens that I have already stuck prior, about a week ago. I did these about a week ago. So they have, actually, I think a couple of them have roots, but I'm not going to pull it out. But I did this about a week ago, and I've just got regular soil mix in there. And then I just took some prunings from some of my plants and made me some, these are like my, what do we call that? The frame of my greenhouse. And of course, when you take a cutting, you want to, it's got no roots. So you've got to keep the moisture in the leaves until it can, so it won't dry out, as we talked in some of the previous segments about desiccation. So you take your shower cap and you just put it, and the nice thing about it, some people use like plastic bags, but see, I like the shower cap because it's
plastic.
So it keeps the moisture in, and there's your little greenhouse. And these things are usually root in a couple of weeks. You know, in at least a month, you've got a rooted cutting. And the way you can tell if it's rooted, let me just bring over one of these others. This is the Coleus. Let's look at that one. Now, this one I took a week ago as well, and I believe I pulled this one up just to see if it had rooted. And I believe I saw a root. Now, if you want to test if one's rooted, you just tug on it a little bit. You don't pinch the stem, because if you grab it at the foliage up here, if you pinch it or break it off, it'll probably grow another leaf. It's not going to grow another stem if you pinch it too. And then I usually get something that I can go in and sort of prise it up instead of just pulling it.
Smart.
Yeah, so that way we're not breaking off.
Does it have?
Oh, well, no, I broke it off. I broke off my root. But if you look at it, you can see tiny little root initials, which are little bumps all along the stem. So it won't be long. But it did have a root on it before I got here. I got a little vicious with it, I guess, when I pulled it out the first time.
Let me ask you this. So what's the best way to water those, though?
I have not had to water them for a week because you get condensation inside this thing. And another thing, good point, another thing, you keep them out of the sun, obviously, because you're going to bake them. You put them in a little shady kind of area of the garden, or I just keep them on the back steps of my patio, which is shaded. And so, you know, it'll, in just no time at all, this plant will transpire, and this will start getting moisture all built up in it. And so I have not had to water it for a week. Now, there may be a time that I will before it roots, but I mean, obviously you can see the soil and it's wet. So as long as it's wet, I don't worry about it. But there's another little way. If you don't travel and collect your shower caps, but if you drink soda pop, you know, you can just cut one of these 2-liter soda. I don't know if that's the right one. I think this one went on this one. But, you know, you can get the clear bottles. You know, you got to pick your brand so that it's a clear bottle usually. I mean, you can get a green bottle, but, you know, I like the clear ones because I want to be able to see my plant, see what it's doing. Sure. So I cut the top off, and that's your little impromptu funnel you can use, you know, so you might want to keep that. And then this is your little greenhouse, and you just, you know, just basically stick it down, you know, and kind of twist it a little bit to make it a little airtight as you can. And then there's your little greenhouse. So it's really easy. It's not a big, you know, not a big thing. And then when they root, oh, and here's my hibiscus.
Right.
So this was one of the hibiscus that I stuck in there, and I brought that from a neighbor. I don't have tropical hibiscus. Mine are hardy hibiscus. Okay. So I had to go over to the neighbor and you know, really kind of snuck over and took some cuttings. I was actually pruning. It needed pruning. Okay. But anyway, I took some cuttings. By the time I got back to the house, it had wilted. And I'm thinking, because it didn't have water or anything, so I'm thinking, man, I don't know if that'll make it. But I got it quickly, and I did my little greenhouse thing, and within a day, it had straightened up.
How about that?
So it was, and see, these are, and I had these on here till I got here, so see, you can see the moisture that's collected in there. You know, that keeps it moist until the roots come out. Right. And then when it has rooted, then you can take it inside in the little pot, or you can repot it, or you can do whatever. But the trick is to put it, you know, in the right place in the house to get it through the winter. Because it's not going to just grow like crazy, because, you know, it's not going to get exactly the right conditions probably, unless you've got a greenhouse you could put it in. You'd probably want to put it in a window that could get some really good, you know, early morning light or middle afternoon light. And it'll probably do just really, really, really well, you know, through the winter. And then you can take it out in the spring, and by the this time of year, you can just do the cycle over again and perpetuate.
Like that, you know, like
perpetuate your favorite plants, you know. And if you've got some of these cultivars of some of these Coleus, you know, you find one, and there was one called Arkansas Sunset several years ago that they quit having now, and it was absolutely gorgeous. It was like orange and yellow, and, you know, looked like a sunset. Right. And you can't find it anymore. And I've had several people ask me, you know, where can we find it? So that's a way to keep the plants that, you know, that sometimes they discontinue to offer. Okay. You know, keep them going. Your heirlooms.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
It sure is.
You know. So.
We appreciate that. That's good stuff, because if you like me, at the end of the season, it's like, oh man, I hate to take that out of the ground because I can't take, you know, I can't bring it in the house.
And as horticulture people, we get asked that sometimes. Sure. I got this favorite plant, you know, and it's tender, and I don't have room for it to drag it in. You know, what can I do to propagate it? You know, and some of them will even root in water, but I like to put them in soil because
I think that's good.
Yeah, just seems to work better for me.
All right, thanks for that good information.
Sure.
We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. To find out more information on this topic, just click on the familyplotgarden.com link in the description.